I would say that they were illegal aliens, and ICE was just doing its job. These are people that came through with Biden. They came through illegally. They came into our country, so we have to do our job.
ICE agents stormed Hyundai's $4.3 billion Georgia battery plant, arresting 475 workers in the largest immigration raid in US history. Most were South Koreans, detained barely a week after Seoul pledged $150 billion in US investment. Trump dismissed them as illegal aliens, but the fallout is far from routine. What was meant to be the crown jewel of America's clean energy future now teeters on the edge of a full-blown diplomatic rupture. On the morning of September 5th, federal agents descended on one of Georgia's most significant manufacturing sites in what authorities are calling the largest single-site immigration enforcement operation in US Department of Homeland Security history. The target was a sprawling construction site for a South Korean battery plant, part of Hyundai Motor Group's massive investment in American manufacturing. 475 workers were arrested, most of them South Korean nationals.
This was not an immigration operation where agents went into the premises, rounded up folks, and put them on buses. This has been a multi-month criminal investigation where we have developed evidence, conducted interviews, gathered documents, and presented that evidence in order to obtain a judicial search warrant.
The operation, dubbed Operation Low Voltage, involved more than 400 law enforcement officers. Social media videos captured the dramatic scene as agents in HSI vests lined up workers in yellow safety vests. An agent can be heard saying in the footage,
"We have a search warrant for the whole site. We need construction to cease immediately. We need all work to end on the site right now."
US President Donald Trump, when questioned about the raid, was direct in his response.
And then on the Hyundai incident in Georgia with the arrest of some workers, construction workers at the plant, have you heard any feedback from Hyundai?
I just heard about that a little while before the news conference, and I would say that they were illegal aliens, and ICE was just doing its job.
When pressed about potential diplomatic fallout with South Korea, Trump added,
"Well, we want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people, but we had a lot of illegal aliens working there. So, look, they're doing their job. That's what they have to do. These are people that came through with Biden. They came through illegally. They came into our country, so we have to do our job."
The arrested workers were held at ICE's Folkestone detention facility in Georgia. According to immigration officials, most had crossed the border illegally or were working in violation of their visa terms. Charles Cuck, an Atlanta immigration lawyer, told the New York Times that 2 of his clients were wrongfully caught in the raid.
"My clients were doing exactly what they were allowed to do under the visa waiver program: attend business meetings."
The raid effectively shut down construction at the HLGA Battery Company facility, a joint venture between Hyundai Motor and LG Energy Solutions. The $4.3 billion project was scheduled to begin operations by the end of 2025, supplying batteries for Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis electric vehicle models. Hyundai stated that none of the detained workers were directly employed by the company, while LG Energy Solutions announced it was pausing construction work to cooperate with authorities. The massive enforcement operation sent shockwaves through South Korea's government, prompting immediate diplomatic action from Seoul. South Korea's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Lee Jae-woong expressed the nation's position in stark terms during a press conference.
"The economic activities of our companies investing in the United States and the interests of our citizens must not be unduly violated during the course of U.S. law enforcement." In Seoul, we also conveyed our concerns and regret through the U.S. Embassy today, urging special attention to ensure that the legitimate rights and interests of our citizens are not violated.
The timing could not have been more sensitive. Just over a week before the raid, Trump had hosted South Korean President Lee Jae-myung at the White House, where the South Korean leader pledged an additional $150 billion in US investments, including substantial commitments to battery manufacturing. The diplomatic contradiction was glaring. South Korea being courted for massive investments, while its citizens were being detained in immigration sweeps. Lee Jae-woong confirmed that South Korean nationals were among those in custody, though he did not specify exact numbers. Korean media reports suggested around 300 South Korean citizens were detained.
The business activities of our investors and the rights of our nationals must not be unjustly infringed in the process of U.S. law enforcement.
It was also announced that diplomats from the Washington Embassy and Atlanta Consulate were being dispatched to Georgia. The Foreign Ministry's response revealed deep concern about the broader implications. South Korean companies have invested tens of billions of dollars in American manufacturing in recent years, much of it incentivized by federal subsidies and tax breaks for semiconductor plants and electric vehicle factories. The Trump administration's immigration crackdown now appeared to be directly conflicting with its economic objectives. The irony was unmistakable. The very facility that had been the centerpiece of President Biden's economic diplomacy with South Korea was now the target of his successor's immigration crackdown. In May 2022, during a visit to Seoul, Biden had celebrated the Hyundai investment as a triumph for American manufacturing.
It's great to be here to announce the more than $10 billion in new investment in American manufacturing. This new commitment of $5 billion for advanced automotive technology and $5.5 billion investment to open a new factory near Savannah, Georgia, is going to create more than 8,000 new American jobs.
Georgia's Republican Governor Brian Kemp had similarly championed the project as the largest economic development project in the state's history, employing 1,200 people at the completed vehicle manufacturing plant. The battery facility was meant to be the crown jewel of Georgia's industrial transformation, part of America's push toward electric vehicle dominance. Now that same site had become ground zero for what critics called a politically motivated enforcement operation. State Representative Sam Park, a Democrat, condemned the raid as a politically motivated attack on Georgia workers and families.
These raids target the very people building our clean energy future while tearing families apart.
The Department of Homeland Security defended the operation as necessary law enforcement.
This operation underscores our commitment to protecting jobs for Georgians.
Officials emphasized that the investigation focused on allegations of unlawful employment practices and other serious federal crimes. The raid exposed a fundamental tension in Trump's approach, simultaneously courting foreign investment while conducting aggressive immigration enforcement that could alienate the very partners whose capital America seeks. As one Korean lawyer working in Metro Atlanta observed,
The United States invited us to invest in the U.S., but they don't give Koreans proper visas.
the 475 arrests at the Hyundai site represent more than just an immigration enforcement action. They symbolize the complex intersection of economic nationalism, diplomatic relations, and immigration policy in an era where America needs foreign investment but remains deeply divided over foreign workers.